great. Worked out well.
Mr. Chair, Alyssa is starting the live stream now.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Joe Rafferty, and I am the Senate Chair of the House and Labor Committee. I represent Senate District 34, which is down in the York County area. And we want to welcome you to joining our session today. Please understand that this is a work session, a little bit different than public hearing. So in reality, the purpose of this meeting is for the committee to receive information from staff and others in order for members to consider the legislative proposals before them and make recommendations or reports to the legislature. So while we're working, it'll be basically only us that has the ability to communicate with one another. The rest of you would be able to observe, and should you be called in for any, if we call upon you for the need to get any information, then we'll do so, and Alyssa will allow you to transition into the meeting with us. This is, however, going to be on YouTube. The YouTube will be live stream, which is accessible to all the public. And so you want to keep that in mind as we're working. What I will do momentarily is ask the committee to introduce themselves, but this session specifically is relative to LD 29, which is an act to conform the Maine apprenticeship program to the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972. In reality, we're really trying to get in conformity to the changes that were made by the federal government in 2018. So I will go through the committee. Folks, if you would introduce yourself, please, starting with Representative Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Representative Mike Sylvester. I represent District 39, which is a part of Portland, the Eastern Peninsula portion, and then the islands of Casco Bay. One of the interesting things out on where I live on Peaks Island is a fort called Battery Steel. During World War II, it was filled with servicemen who were monitoring the harbor. But one of the little interesting pieces is they actually boarded a boat in Portland, like many things in the military, not knowing exactly where they were going. Were they going to Europe? Were they going to some other port unknown? Got on, took off to sea, and about 15 minutes later stopped, and they said, "All right, everybody out," because where they were headed was Peaks Island and the enfortments that had been built there. So it's a great thing. You should go to the 5th Maine to find out more about it, and I appreciate everyone being here.
Thank you, sir. And Senator Guerin, please.
Thank you, Senator. I am Senator Stacey Guerin. I represent Southern Penobscot County, Senate District 10.
Thank you very much. And I know that Senator Miramon is testifying in another committee. So we'll go to Representative Bradstreet, please.
Thank you and good afternoon. I'm Representative Dick Bradstreet. I represent House District 80, Vassalboro, Windsor, Somerville, and part of Augusta.
Thank you very much, sir. Representative Cuddy.
Thank you very much, Senator. My name is Scott Cuddy. I represent House District 98, which is Winterport, Frankfort, Searsport, and Swanville. And I'd like to say happy birthday to the great state of Maine.
Thank you, sir. And please, Representative Drinkwater.
Yes, Gary Drinkwater, representing the fine people of Elton, Argyle, Corinth, Hudson, and my hometown of Milford.
Thank you. Representative Gear.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tracy Gear. I'm representing House District 9, which is Kennebunkport and Coastal Biddeford and Kennebunk.
Thanks very much. Representative Morris, please.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
There you are.
Yes.
Sorry.
Good afternoon. No worries. I'm State Representative Joshua Morris. I represent the towns of Turner, Leeds, and Livermore, House District 75.
Thank you, sir. Representative Pedworth?
Good afternoon, everyone. I represent House District 133 in the Blue Hill Peninsula.
Thank you. Representative Prescott?
I'm Dwayne Prescott, House District 17, that'd be Waterboro and part of Lyman.
Thank you. Representative Rader?
Hi, my name is Amy Rader, and I represent District 125, which is a portion of Bangor. And I'm going to keep my video off for all of this in the attempt to stay connected to you all. Thank you so much.
No problem. And I'm looking, but did Representative Warren?
Hello, yes.
I'm sorry. Why wouldn't I notice you? Dead center of my vision here. I'm sorry.
It's always the way it is. I'm Representative Sophia Warren, and I represent my hometown here in Scarborough, Coastal District 29.
Thank you very much, Representative, and my apologies for that. Working with us, as always, behind the scenes, our very able clerk, Alyssa Thompson. She'll help us all to navigate the system. And also with us is offering lots of expertise will be our analyst, Steve Langland. As I alluded to earlier, we are working on LD 29, and we had, this is our second go round with this, and we had left our last session with a couple of questions we were hoping to get answered. So I think what I'll do is give Steve an opportunity to address those. I know he's got some updated information perhaps that he can share, and then we'll proceed with our discussions. Thank you, Steve.
Sure. Let me share my screen with you.
Sure.
Okay. Are you all seeing my bill analysis? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as you just mentioned, this is our second work session on LD 29. The public hearing was on February 8th, and it was tabled at a work session on February 18th. So this bill amends information relating to a request for demographic data that an apprenticeship agreement under the main apprenticeship program must contain. It brings the program into compliance with Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972 standards. So if you recall, on February 18th, Representative Drinkwater had the question of what effect would this have, what effect would adding gender identity to the bill have on religious organizations? So the answer is not much from what I gathered. So in determining whether there's discrimination in apprenticeship programs, federal standards, they use Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. So Title VII allows certain narrow religious exceptions, and I have an attachment on that, but the group still cannot discriminate for other protected reasons, which does include sex, which the EEOC interprets to include gender identity and sexual orientation. And I also have an attachment on that. The Maine Human Rights Act does have similar language in Title V in section 4573A, subsection 2. So the other piece that the committee wanted to know was about gender identity. So as I mentioned at the last work session, gender identity is included in the definition of sexual orientation in the Maine Human Rights Act, and it's interpreted as such by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. However, it is acceptable for the committee to add this into the bill if it feels it adds clarity, and it would be in compliance with apprenticeship standards per the U.S. Department of Labor. So while it's not necessary, if the committee feels that it wants to add it in for clarity purposes, it still would comply federally. And the department actually checked with their contacts at the Federal Department of Labor, and they agreed that you can add to it, and that would be a perfectly fine addition. So the Maine Human Rights Commission did recommend changing the language to read age instead of or because the person is 40 years of age or older. As you'll remember, I brought that up as an issue at the last work session. The Maine Human Rights Act doesn't allow any age discrimination, period. So I did reach out to them, and they agreed that changing it just to age would add a lot of clarity and take away any potential legal issue for the committee if they just went with age instead of specifying because the person is 40 years of age or older. And I do have we still have not received a preliminary fiscal impact. I do have further information on, hold on, let me minimize my thing. On what I described above with the exception of the committee. So it's kind of hard to read with the screen being like this, but so basically Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, religious organizations can give employment preference to members of their own religion. And there are very narrow circumstances in what qualifies under that exception. But also note here, the exception does not allow religious organizations otherwise to discriminate in employment on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, age, or disability. So there really wouldn't be an extensive effect on religious organizations if the term gender identity was added, because it's still a forbidden category to discriminate against. And I did attach an email from Kimberly Moore with the Department of Labor, who's here today, if you have any questions. And she concurred with a lot of the analysis, and she confirmed that they did check with the federal department about changing 40 years of age or older to age, saying that that was acceptable. And she agreed that there would be a minimal effect on religious institutions because, as mentioned above, sex is a protected category and there is no exemption for that. And gender identity is included in sex. She did also include some background that Senator Rafferty alluded to earlier. Right here in red, it says, it's worth noting the department has been out of compliance since 2017, and the department must make the changes required by the updated federal rule at a minimum. And I also attached this document, which was on my first bill analysis, that talks about gender identity and sexual orientation. So I think that was the extent of the questions that were raised at the last work session, at least from my recollection. So if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to try to take those on. And as I did mention, Kimberly Smith from DOL is here. And I also see that Joan Dolan from Maine Department of Labor is here. And I believe she's the head of the apprenticeship. So between the three of us, hopefully we can answer some of your questions.
Steve, thank you very much for that summary. It's greatly appreciated. And it kind of clarifies all the issues that were outstanding, as I recall. And I don't know that you mentioned this particular piece, Steve, in that we need to keep in mind that apprenticeship programs are voluntary. We're not imposing anyone that takes on an apprentice. These are voluntary programs that you would choose to participate in as an employer. Please, I do see a question up. Excuse me, Senator Garin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe it was just some semantics and wording, but you said there would be no substantial effect to a religious organization. Will there be any effect?
No, that was just the way I worded it. So my understanding is, unless, I always say that it's like a caveat of there's some legal issue that could come out down the road with anything, as we know from the law, but this doesn't actually change anything because the way things are interpreted at the federal and state level is that gender identity cannot be discriminated against, and it's not protected federally as a protection. So as I mentioned, certain religious organizations can give preference to individuals that share the same religion when hiring, but those are very narrow exceptions, and the exception does not exist for discrimination based on gender identity. So my understanding of the law is that a religious organization could not say, for instance, it's part of our religion that we don't hire, Hispanics or something of that nature. So that would not be protected. So this doesn't change anything for religious organizations.
Thank you. And Senator Rafferty, we are going to want to break out if that's possible, please.
It's not possible, I don't believe.
No, it isn't.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. We will have an opportunity to break out. That's why we changed to this format. So we'll give you that opportunity momentarily. I'm sure there may be some questions from either side. I do see a hand up from Representative Sylvester.
Thank you. I just wanted to before we broke out, let you know that I was planning on making the motion to include both gender identity, mostly because it's important to me to make laws as clear as possible for employers who are looking at it and don't have to go through and try to figure out what the federal government means by something. But also for people to be able to see themselves in the law. And also to make the amendment on age. So I just wanted to give folks, I didn't want folks to be surprised by that and allow for discussion of it before we broke up.
So Mike, yes, Representative Drinkwater.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Curious on why the good representative would want to add gender identity when it's telling us that sexual orientation covers gender identity. Why the difference? Why the schematics here?
I think that, well, I've heard from a lot of folks on this that it was incredibly important to them. Many of them were young folks, and who were, as I said, wanting to see themselves in the law, wanting to see that protection. And then just, as I look at laws and I try to figure out what it means, and there's some term and I have to go dig like 3 layers into the onion, or need somebody like Steve to try to explain what does that word mean, really mean, right? I know what it means in the dictionary. I know what it means in my head, but what does it really mean legally in law? I find it important that an employer or an employee can look at the law and see it there. So since there's no substantive change to it, and it seemed to be a benefit both to folks who've reached out to me and potentially to someone looking at the law, that's why I'm bringing it forward. I agree it doesn't make a substantive change in who's protected or how they're protected or anything like that.
Thank you, the good representative, but I also understand that you have an excellent reputation of trying to work with the other side to come out with a unanimous report. That's more of a statement. That's more of a statement than it is a question.
I guess I just asked, would that keep you from voting for it, Representative? Is that maybe something you could discuss in your?
Yes, we'll discuss it in our breakout room.
Okay.
But I just want to know if your wallet was open for change.
Well, I was going to make a comment about having 3 teenage kids and being married for, so my wallet is always open. But yeah, no, I mean, I'd like to work there. It's all, I just wanted to express that it was important to a lot of young folks who reached out to me. And I'm not talking about 3. I'm talking more like 30 some odd, many of whom lived in my district. And so I wouldn't be doing my job as a representative of the folks in my district if I didn't advocate for this. So I would love to find some place that we can that we can come to a unanimous on this one.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Drinkwater, thank you very much. And this is the place for us to discuss, and I think it's great. And Representative Sylvester, having 3 teenagers, when you open your wallet, you probably only have change. But Representative Gear.
And having 2 who have just graduated from being teenagers, I always know that they bring great ideas and thoughts to the fore. So they're good to have around. And I just wanted to clarify, Representative Sylvester, based on what you're proposing as an amendment. So the list would read race, color, religion, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, genetic information, disability, etc. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I have a clear understanding of what your proposal would be.
That's what it would be. And it would change the over 40 years to age.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? And I know that there is a desire by both groups to go into caucus. Would a 15-minute limit be a good start? Does anyone think that you'd need more?
I think that's plenty. I think that's plenty. Maybe 10.
As not to seem like we are forgetting that we said we would take a break before going into this work session. I wondered if anybody needed any additional time to grab some food, as we also have the budget ahead of us.
Well, let's do, I'd like to do a short caucus, come back, address this bill, and then take our break before we go into our afternoon budget. So let's go 10 minutes. Thank you, Alyssa.
Hello?
I'm back in.
Hello.
Hello? I think we're back. Are the
I don't think
Democrats
we're back
back?
yet.
Not back yet. Well, I'm gonna go get a drink of water then.
Okay.
You're muted, Senator. If you're talking, I can't tell.
I'm talking to myself, just trying to count heads here, see, but thank you. Looks like we have, okay. Was Representative Morris with you guys? Says he may be on, but sometimes I know,
He was.
yeah.
Both he and Senator Garin are in the bottom of my screen, just with their cameras off.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay. Well, welcome back, everyone. That was a long 10 minutes, but that's okay. We need to get the work done. We get the work done. I see a hand raised, Representative Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would make a motion ought to pass as amended, with the two amendments being adding the word gender identity to the list of definitions and replacing the term over 40 years with the simple word age, as recommended by the department.
Thank you very much. All right. Do I have a second?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much, Representative
Warren.
Warren was on that. We had Sylvester. I just want to record it because we get going and I forget. So Alyssa, I'm going to move the vote, please, and ask that we do so by roll call vote, and remind folks that you need to physically be visible when you're making your vote. If you would call the roll, please, Melissa. So
Senator.
again, I'm sorry, I just want to review that. So if you are in favor of LD 29 with as amended, then you will be saying yes or yay. If you are opposed, then no comes out more clearly on this format, but you can use no or nay. Sorry, Alyssa, go ahead. Representative Sylvester, you have your hand up still, or is that just a leftover? Leftover. Go ahead, Alyssa, I'm sorry.
No, no worries. Senator Rafferty.
Yes.
Rafferty, yes. Senator Guerin.
No.
Guerin, no. Senator Miramont.
Yes.
Miramont, yes. Representative Sylvester.
Yes.
Sylvester, yes. Representative Bradstreet.
No.
Bradstreet, no. Representative Cuddy.
Yes.
Cuddy, yes. Representative Drinkwater.
No.
Drinkwater, no. Representative Gear.
Yes.
Gear, yes. Representative Morris.
No.
Morris, no. Representative Pebworth.
Yes.
Pebworth, yes. Representative Prescott.
No.
Prescott, no. Representative Rader.
Yes.
Rader, yes. And Representative Warren.
Yes.
Warren, yes. So that is 8-5. What is the minority motion?
Move on to pass.
That's right.
Okay, so ought to pass, just not as amended? Okay,
That's correct.
thank you.
Thank you, folks. So that's actually going to, I'll call the work session on LD 29 to a close. I have, excuse me, about 1:34, 1:35-ish, it looks like on my computer. So let's take a 15-minute break. We'll be back at, let's make that 20. We'll be back at 1:55, please, for our hearing on next hearing on budget. Thank you. Alyssa, we coming back to the same site?
We are, Chair, Mr. Chair, just, yeah, just turn off the video.
Leave meeting and mute, yeah, mute.
Yep.
Remember,
I know we had a time change and all, but I
Doesn't
might,
usually affect the minutes, does it?
not usually.
Yeah, wasn't it going to be 1:55 sharp? No.
It was 1:55 LT, which is legislative time. It's sort of like
Gotcha.
AM or PM, but it's different.
Like Atlantic time. Nobody knows what it is.
That's right.
No, it exists.
I had to put my coat on. I'm in the coldest room in my house. And, ugh. All right, coat. Actually, if my kids ever saw me turning my thermostat up, they might be shocked. I actually just did. All right. We're getting closer. Representative Morris, I'm not sure. Sometimes he's here, but his thing is not good.
Yeah, I am here.
Okay. I
Yeah.
know sometimes you have some audio and the visual don't connect always, but so we know you're here. Thank you. We're looking for anyone else. I think we're good. All right. So, folks, welcome back. I will call to order our work session relative to budgeting. And the way this is going to work is actually we're going to have Steve kind of walk through things step by step. And as we go through them, if you obviously we'll get any and all questions answered. But at some point before we move to the next section, what I'd like to do is vote on each section as we go. So if we find that if we don't reach a unanimous decision, we can have some, we can have discussion on it. We can come back to, but otherwise we're going to let him kind of walk us through it. And then I'll ask if everybody's agreeable, and if not, we'll move forward with all that we are agreeable on and come back to anything that we need to address. Is that clear? Any questions on that? All right, so I have to have the paper copy out for myself, but in any case, Steve, if you're ready, I think, Piers, we're all ready. If you would walk us through it, please, and
Sure.
we'll try to keep up.
Yep. So you should have received an email from me with several PDFs, one of which was the budget, and then one of them was the report back, which is primarily the document that I'll be working off today that has the initiatives that the committee must vote on. Do you think it would be helpful for me to share my screen, or do you think that would kind of stifle conversation, or I'm happy to do whatever the committee wants?
Well, why don't we try sharing? If it stifles conversation, then let's just go back to the, we'll go without it.
Okay.
So,
let me pull it up. Okay.
And Steve, can you tell us which document you're showing here
Yep.
so I can?
Okay, can you see, are you seeing a document right now? On the
Yes.
screen? Okay. So this one is what's called the report back template. So this is the one, as you can see, it has the lines for committee votes and AFA votes. So this is sort of like the report back of what I'll be sending over to the Appropriations Committee with this committee's recommendations.
So just so I can be, just to clarify, Steve, so this is the one that says LBHS template and language?
Yep, exactly.
Thank you. I just like to follow along on my own. So thank you.
And I also sent you in the email between the break, the original budget document. So these reference numbers are sort of unique to AFA and the report back document. They don't really necessarily mean all that much for us. So actually, the first initiative corresponds with page A322. So I don't know, it's really hard to kind of have the dual screen kind of going at the same time, but to the extent that you're able to do that, that might be helpful. So, so the first initiative that the committee needs to vote on is in Maine Housing's home modification certification program. So the baseline budget for the general fund is $50,000. The initiative that's proposed in front of the committee, it reduces funding to reflect the termination of the home modification certification program. And the justification for this initiative is that home modification certifications will be addressed as part of the home accessibility and repair program. So that's a deappropriation or a deallocation of $50,000 per year. Would you like me to continue or?
Well, maybe it is going to be tough to do the split screen business. So what I said was we'd go through each one and vote on it. It's hard to vote if I can't see people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, Representative Sylvester.
I was just going to make a suggestion that although I was trying to keep Steve from having to keep track of all of the block that we might vote of all the ones that were agreed to, maybe that is the best way to do it. And so maybe we can just say, does anyone want to change, modify, or hold this this initiative? And if not, then we're agreeing that it'll go into the block of things that that we'll just sort of vote out on everything we agree on. Does that make sense for everybody?
It's starting to.
Yeah, it seemed like it might be easier the other way, but.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to do that.
All right, so the first one then, Steve, is this, the home fund, so. So that's a 50,000, all right. Is there any questions, or I can't see anyone? I'm seeing like a couple of people at a time, so if there's any questions, you're gonna have to speak up. I may not always see you, but I will try to continue to do so. But so go ahead, Steve, with the next one, please.
Okay. So that's just the program summary showing the money.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So is everyone agreeing that they don't have an issue with that one?
No comment, so that's a yes.
Okay, thank you. Does everyone understand that you should speak up if you have an issue before we move on? If you want to hold it, if you want to change it, if you're planning on offering an amendment of some sort, if you want more discussion.
I understand that. I think that's pretty clear. Make your
Thank
voice heard if you are in dissent.
Exactly. Thank you, Senator.
Excuse me, I do have one question. It says the committee vote on the blank space. Is that either yes or no?
So typically what happens is the committee votes in, out, or amend. So if they vote, a committee vote of in is that they want it in the biennial budget. If it's out, they want it out of the biennial budget, or an amend is they're going to change something in the initiative. So my understanding from the way that we're doing this now is we're going through and sort of taking straw polls to see if there are any objections to the initiatives generally. And the ones that are no objections, we're going to be voting as a block to include in the biennial budget. That was my understanding based on what Senator Rafferty and Representative Sylvester just said.
That is our intent, Steve, yes.
So I have a question here. If we have no dissent, this is not like a roll call vote, is it? It's more of a straw poll on these? Is that correct?
Currently, right. Yes.
Yeah,
So if there's no dissent, you're agreeing basically to keep it in.
So why
If
would
you
we
have a
need to go
correct-
back and vote on them again? Because these are straw poll votes anyway. So if we're letting it go now, why come back and look at it again?
We were just going to take a formal block vote. So all the ones that there was no dissent, all in favor, just to have a formal vote on the committee, because we do have to have a formal vote that we agree on these initiatives being in.
But we do, by
yeah, rather than
name,
do it-
by name, we have to have a vote.
Yeah, my understanding is the Appropriations Committee generally likes to have an idea of what the vote was. So
Okay.
if it's 5 or something, but sometimes I guess they've asked committees for names too specifically. So
Okay,
I
I
think in
got
the
it.
interest of saving time, that's kind of, I think what the chairs were deciding to do is see what there is agreement on and then go from there.
Okay, sorry for wasting time discussing it.
No, we're good.
Okay,
Thank
so,
you.
yep, so this is just showing the, it goes to 0 because the initiative was the termination of the program. So this is the Housing Authority baseline budget for other special revenue funds. There's nothing that the committee needs to vote on unless it clearly says that there's initiative. So this is more for your information. And here's a Housing Authority state program summary.
I'm not seeing it moved.
Yeah, so those don't require votes, but if there are any questions, then certainly feel free to speak out because it's kind of difficult to gauge who has their hand up. So the next baseline budget is for the low income home energy assistance program in Maine Housing.
And Steve, the screen isn't moving at all. We're still up on.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good information. I'm glad you didn't let me get all the way to the end. Let me fix that. Okay, let me unshare. That is good information. Let me share. Okay, is the screen moving now by chance?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, excellent. So the next initiative, the next thing on the agenda is the low income home energy assistance from Maine Housing. It's showing the baseline budget for other special revenue funds, $545.
A question on that one, if I may.
Yes, sir.
An explanation of why it's only $545. What's this program do? I'm just trying to quickly read it. Low income home energy assistance program. They get a fee from different utilities and put it into that fund, I'm assuming?
Eric Jorgensen from Maine Housing is here. He probably has a better understanding of exactly why these numbers are what they are. So if the chairs want to call on him, he's available.
Yes, please. Mr. Jorgensen, if you would address that question to to the committee, actually. Thank you. It's probably
This is Maine State Housing and not DOL. So we would need to have, right. So Mr. Jorgensen, are you there? All right, my understanding is, and Mr. Jorgensen can jump in if he hears us, that this is a placeholder fund to keep the bank account open. And that, but I don't know if there's internal revenue that comes in during the year that's spent. I sort of remember something about it moving, them moving this initiative partially to something else, but there were a lot of those, so.
Well, that satisfies me for now, but I would like to hear from him because obviously there's got to be a larger sum of money somewhere else in this budget.
Why don't we hold this one for discussion then?
Absolutely.
I apologize for the interruption. I just want to let you all know that I can see Mr.
Kathy.
Jorgensen. For some
Oh,
reason, he's not muted, but I can't hear him.
Well, I'm in the middle of committee right now. Sorry.
So what we can do, I guess, is we could go through all of the initiatives from Maine Housing, and then we can call upon Mr. Jorgensen again if maybe he's able to get his technological problems worked out. So I'll continue for now, but we'll keep that one open. So the next thing is the baseline budget for the Maine Energy, Housing, and Economic Recovery Program. And there is an initiative on this page that requires committee action. So the initiative increases funding to bring debt service payments into accordance with the repayment schedule. And the justification for that initiative is that this initiative will meet the legal contractual obligation to bondholders and avoid default. And I will continue on because we're still in Maine Housing. And this is just a reflection of the initiative above. The next one is the shelter operating subsidy baseline budget of $2.5 million. And this is showing the Maine State Housing Department total, both general fund and other special revenue funds for the biennial. So that concludes the Maine Housing portion. I don't know if Mr. Jorgensen is able to communicate with us now, but maybe this is the best time to go back to those questions, or?
I'm going to see if I can reach out to him.
Okay. Would you like me to proceed, or?
I had no problem with the two initiatives that you went forward with. If maybe we could check and see if anyone else had questions with those others, and then we can go back to the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. So the initiative here does require action by the committee. I don't know whether this is going to be something the committee agrees to or not, but keeping in mind the format that we were going to use with kind of voting things as a block that were agreed upon, I don't know if there are any objections to this point for this initiative. So I can kind of note that for later, but, or maybe it's not known because we haven't talked to Mr. Jorgensen yet, but.
Well, he might be the only change otherwise, Steve, so.
Okay. We'll come back to these.
Right. So I'm looking at, I have a hard copy, so I'm going by page number, but.
Yep, so we're on page 7 now. And you can see it in the corner. So this is the Department of Labor.
Before we go on to the Department of Labor, I have an answer on our I believe it was Representative Drinkwater's question, which is that in fact, it is a placeholder account. The money for that program comes from utility companies. And so this account was opened because it was thought that perhaps at some point the state might want to put money into the program itself. But at this point, it does not put any money into the program. It all comes from utility companies of another. And we don't see it because it's in the, I guess, in the EUT budget or something like that. But that's what this account is doing. It's just a placeholder.
All right, that's a good explanation on that account. If it comes from Public Utilities Commission, where can I find it? That would be my next follow-up. We can wait for him to be present.
Okay, great.
So I will proceed moving on to the Department of Labor. So This is the baseline budget for administration in the Bureau of Labor Standards in the Department of Labor. And I want to preface this all by saying I'm not a money person. So if you have any like very specific questions, certainly feel free to call upon the department who is here, as well as our fiscal analyst, Rachel Tremblay, who works with these numbers day and night. So she would definitely be a great resource. So
I'll start right off with a question for the department if they're available.
Go ahead, sir.
COVID money. We see a lot of money filtering down. I know this budget was printed before the latest round that was signed by the president, but we had some COVID money that was left over from the last round of COVID. Do we show that in any of this Department of Labor budget?
I'll defer to the deputy commissioner, but it's my understanding that the money that you're referring.
Excuse me, Commissioner, we're having trouble with your audio, please.
Good afternoon, this is Kim Smith. If it's all right, I'll take that question.
Thank you very much.
There are two places where COVID money will show up, and first is under the Employment Services Program. We received a dislocated worker grant to help people transition back to the workforce. And then the second is in the Employment Security, where you'll see we increased the allocation for the Unemployment Trust Fund so that we can pay for state benefits. Now, all of the other unemployment programs, such as the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program or the Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation, that's the extra $300, those are all being handled by financial order.
Would you be so kind when we get to those places in this budget to point that out, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question of Ms. Smith?
Yes, sir.
Is this the portion where we would see the salaries for the inspectors of in Mr. Rowland's department?
That would be under the Regulation and Enforcement Program, which will come later.
Okay, great. And if you could point that out when we get there as well as when we get to personnel for employment services. Thank you.
Okay, so there are no initiatives for the committee to vote on that page, or actually this page. So I will continue on.
Thank you.
So this is the baseline budget for the Department of Labor Administration. There are a couple of initiatives here. The first one transfers funds from the general fund to other special revenue funds for financial and human resources services within the same program in order to maintain operations within available resources. And you can see that it's reflected here. And this committee vote is just on agreeing to the general fund total.
I just like to hear it out loud. So no one has any issues with either one of those?
I have a general question, just for clarity's sake.
Go ahead, Mr. Yes.
Yeah, okay, under all of these, when it says personal services, is that entirely payroll, dollars and cents and nothing else? I mean, wages plus benefits? Is that what we're seeing there? Are there no other items that come under there? Or is it just strictly payroll?
Just payroll and benefits, yes.
Thank you.
And I apologize, I forgot to read the justification. So the justification is increased federal funding will result in a corresponding increase in the federal percentage of the department's federally approved indirect cost rate, thereby reducing the general fund percentage. If nobody has any further questions or objections to these initiatives, I will proceed, but would you like me to mark them down as agreed upon for the block vote later?
That one you can, Steve. Yes, I haven't heard any question on that.
Okay. So the next page, there's no initiative requiring committee vote. It's just a program summary for the Department of Labor Administration. And so this is the baseline budget for the Department of Labor Division for the Blind and Visually Impaired. There is an initiative on this page. The initiative provides funding to increase the contract for one teacher for the visually impaired position. And the justification for that is the Department of Education is providing funding for an increase for the cost of this position. The Division for the Blind and Visually Impaired expects that the contracted teacher for the visually impaired will continue to provide instruction and consultation specific to blindness or vision impairment that's essential for blind children and youth to access publicly available child development services in the education curriculum. This contracted position was established in accordance with Public Law 2011, Chapter 655, Part FFF, and has been funded in previous fiscal years by the Department of Education.
Thank you.
Okay. The next initiative in the Division for the Blind and Visually Impaired reallocates the cost of one blindness rehabilitation specialist position from 100% general fund and one blindness rehabilitation specialist position from 100% federal expenditures fund to 50% general fund and 50% federal expenditures fund, each within the same program.
No questions asked, Steve. We can agree.
And then the committee needs to vote on the general fund total for this program.
Any
So if there are
questions
no-
on that? Looks like we agree the SD will be good.
Yeah. Oh, and sorry, I forgot the justification. So the staff currently in these positions are providing services in all programs within the Division for the Blind and Visually Impaired. This initiative aligns the positions with the work that's being provided. So this is just a program summary for the Division for the Blind and Visually Impaired. There's no initiative on this page. Next up within the Department of Labor is the Employment Security Services. And this is the baseline budget on the top third of the page. There are a couple of initiatives in this section. So the first one continues 13 limited period claims adjudicator positions previously continued by Financial Order 001092F1 through June 10th, 2023.
I have a quick question. So this is, just to clarify, so this is the claims department within the unemployment program reviewing appeals and all of that sort of thing. Am I correct in that?
I'm happy to defer to the department.
Whoever could answer from the department?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
So the justification for that initiative is that these positions were established in response to the dramatic increase in unemployment claims that were filed by individuals affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Continuing these positions through the 2022 to 2023 biennium will provide the department with the resources needed to ensure people receive the unemployment benefits for which they're eligible.
Excuse me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on this and some similar initiatives where it says that the funding is going to continue through June 10th, 2023. And I believe I asked the commissioner this at the appropriations meeting, but maybe she could answer again for everybody's benefit. In case there is a lesser need going forward, that we find there's a lesser need for these people, will any of them be phased out as time goes on?
I'm not sure if the commissioner wants to chime in, but we have not asked yet for these positions to be made permanent because we want to be able to assess what is the level of staffing that we need. So as we are transitioning to lower levels of unemployment and lower levels of claims volume, we would transition some of these limited period positions away. We know we need more than for instance, the 13 claim staff that we talked about last year when we were before you, but we know we're not going to need all of these 151 positions that you'll see before you.
Thank you. So I guess this is a just in case scenario then.
It's what we need to get through the current environment, but I don't envision that would be the long-term environment.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may follow up with that, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
are we seeing any federal funds come down and flow into this?
Yes, when there are extensions of the federal pandemic programs, there is also administrative money that comes with it.
And I think the answer to your question, Representative Drinkwater, is these are all federal funds. There are no general.
Excuse me, I have another question. Maybe this is for clarification too. It might have been answered before, but I believe these people will still be state employees subject to the any collective bargaining agreements that may apply. Is that right?
That is correct.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions there? We can move forward, Steve. Thank you.
Sure. So the next initiative in the Employment Security Services continues one tax section manager position and one assistant UC team leader position, previously established by Financial Order 001091 F1 through June 10th, 2023. And the justification for that initiative is these positions were established in response to the dramatic increase in unemployment claims that were filed by individuals affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Continuing these positions through the 2022-2023 biennium will provide the department with the resources needed to ensure people receive the unemployment benefits for which they are eligible.
Thank you.
Oh, if I may ask, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
that initiative for 205,964, that is for two people?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Salary is about 201,977 is the salaries and benefits, with 3,987 in the first year for all other, for overhead.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Steve?
Mm-hmm. So the next initiative in the Employment Security Services continues the following limited period positions, which were previously continued by Financial Order 001090 F1 through June 10th, 2023. The positions are 4 unemployment comp team leader positions, 13 fraud investigator positions, 18 accounting specialist positions, 38 UC eligibility agent positions, 4 accounting technician positions, 2 business system QA analyst positions, and 16 claims adjudicator positions. The justification for these is the same as above, to save me a little bit of reading, but dramatic increase in unemployment claims were filed by individuals affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Continuing these positions through the 2022-2023 biennium are going to provide the department with the resources needed to ensure people receive the unemployment benefits for which they are eligible.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
That $7.8 million that we're talking about, is that 100% federal funded?
Yes, it is.
So there's no split with state money?
There is no general fund in the unemployment program.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Senator.
Just to make sure, these are all temporary positions, is that correct?
That is correct.
Federally funded.
Federally funded, limited period positions.
Thank you.
So the next initiative continues the following limited period positions previously continued by financial order 001090 F1 through June 10th, 2023. And there are 6 claims adjudicator positions, 1 unemployment comp regional manager position, 4 unemployment comp team leader positions, 8 UC eligibility agent positions, 9 fraud investigator positions, 2 hearings examiner positions, and 5 accounting specialist positions.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Are these positions all filled?
No, not all are currently filled.
Can you tell me how many are currently filled?
I will have to get that to you.
Certainly, thank you.
Representative Drinkwater, would you want to hold this initiative without a vote to get that answer, or?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So that's reference.
Oh, and I apologize. The justification was these positions were established in response to the dramatic increase in unemployment claims that were filed by individuals affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So the next initiative in the Employment Security Services, it establishes 5 limited period accounting associate 2 positions and 1 business systems manager position through June 10th, 2023. And the initiative, the justification for this initiative is that this initiative establishes 5 limited period positions in response to the dramatic increase in unemployment claims that were filed by individuals affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mr. Chair, question, please.
Yes, sir.
Same question as before. Are these positions filled?
These particular positions have not been created yet. So these are establishing them, whereas the other ones are being continued from a financial order. So these are not positions that exist right now.
Thank you.
Said Steve.
So the next initiative establishes 2 public service coordinator 1 positions and 1 public service manager 2 position. The justification for this initiative is that these federally funded positions will enhance the department's ability to continually improve the Reemploy Me system. They will perform real-time analysis of transactions in the system so that processes can be improved and the needs of unemployed workers and businesses are better served. The department contracted for these services during the pandemic, and these positions will be necessary to continue this work into the future.
Thank you, Steve.
If I may back up, Mr. Chair, and I'm sorry to take so long, but I'm assuming again, once again, these are not filled positions, but they will be once we start the budget on July 1.
That is correct.
So the next initiative provides funding for projected unemployment benefit expenditures. And the justification is that this initiative increases the allocation for unemployment benefit payments in anticipation of potentially high levels of unemployment.
Thank you, Steve.
If I may, the representative asked me to call out earlier initiatives that I referred to. This is one of the initiatives that I referred to.
Representative Sylvester, I think that was directed to you, sir.
Yep. So where I'm particularly interested is in the two part-time positions. I should have been more clear. So is this Director Rowlands?
No, I
Keith, or
apologize. This was in response to the question about COVID-related initiatives.
Gotcha. All right. That's what I thought. All right. Thank you.
And Steve, could I ask just for clarification, the references seem to be going in numerical order, obviously. We went from 1936 to 1938. Is there a 1937 that I missed?
As I said at the beginning, those numbers don't necessarily mean anything for the purposes of us. I think that's for the Appropriations Committee to cross-reference that with the biennial budget. So I think that's really for their purposes, because what happens is this sheet will get sent back to them after it's worked by the committee, so they'll be able to more easily cross-reference that.
Thank you, Steve. And you did say that. It's just
no, that's okay. But the initiatives do correspond with the sections we heard testimony on at the public hearing with AFA. So this one in particular is on A367.
Thank you very much. I see a hand up from Representative Cuddy.
Thank you, Senator. So Director Smith, this is an allocation of monies from the trust fund that already exist, or you know what, instead of even trying to ask a question, can you explain to me what this means?
Sure. We're increasing the allocation, and this is the Unemployment Trust Fund, the Employment Security Trust Fund, as it's formally called. And this increases the allocation each year to $250 million. So this would be the State Unemployment Trust Fund, which has seen obviously an increase due to the COVID-related claims, but this does not include the federal programs. The PEUCs or the FPUC, for instance.
Okay, so this is these are the monies that are derived from the unemployment insurance tax that's levied on employers.
Correct.
Okay, and I'm looking at the same allocation for the coming fiscal year and the fiscal year following. Is that correct?
Right. We're increasing the allocation to $250 million. That's an estimate of what we would need to pay out in benefits. Again, it's the authorization to spend it. It's not necessarily what we expect to spend.
Okay, thank you.
And a follow-up, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
So this comes from the unemployment tax levied on payroll. Are we going to see an increase in the percentages to employers?
Well, we have already released the tax rates for this calendar year, and there was a slight increase in taxes for this calendar year.
And can we get what that percentage was and what the percentage will be?
We'll provide that information, yes.
Thank you.
Shall I proceed, or?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Steve.
And just to clarify, was this among the initiatives that goes into the block that's agreed upon by the committee that's voted at the end, or was this set aside?
I'm going to ask Representative Drinkwater. Do you need an answer for that particular question, sir, before you voted on it? Or is that just, you need that question answered in general?
I would like to have that answer before I vote on it, sir.
Okay, so we're going to set that one aside, Steve.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
So the next initiative is in Employment Security Services. It provides funding for the approved reorganization of one labor program specialist position to a business systems manager position. The justification for that is that this management initiated reorganization will align position duties with position classification. The next initiative establishes allocation for the Unemployment Program Administrative Fund in order to support the operations of the unemployment insurance program. The justification for this initiative is that funding was provided by Public Law 2019, Chapter 616, Part FF, in order to address insufficient funding for the unemployment program. Receipt of funding will begin in April 2021.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Any chance that that could be federal allocations?
No, Representative, that will come from the new increase in employer taxes that was passed last year. And not really an increase because we did offset it with contributions to the trust fund itself. So that was a cost neutral initiative on employers.
Thank you.
I have a question. Is there anything more specific that we can get regarding how that money will be spent? I understand it's to address shortages, but in particular, is it for staffing? Is it for software or anything like that?
It would be for a combination of both of those. Those are the bulk of our expenses, are our staff and our system.
Okay, so somewhere there's a list of those things. Is that right?
I could provide you with what we've budgeted.
That would be good. Thank you.
So Representative Bradstreet, so to that initiative.
Yeah, I'd like to have answers prior to okay. Thank you.
And that was reference number
1939.
39. Thank you.
So the next page is just a program summary of the Employment Security Services. There's no initiative for the committee to vote on that page. Up next is the Employment Services activity. And the majority of this page is the baseline budget. There is an initiative toward the bottom of the page. I can try to scroll out. That might be a little too small. So the initiative.
Talking to myself, sorry.
That's okay. So this initiative in the Employment Services activity transfers and reallocates the costs of various positions between General Fund, Federal Expenditures Fund, other special revenue funds, and competitive skills scholarship funds within the Employment Services activity program to better align the positions with their funding sources. I'm just looking ahead for. I can proceed if there are no questions on that.
Go ahead, Steve. I think this is kind of a small block in itself. Go ahead.
Okay. And the committee does, in addition to that initiative, the committee does have to vote on the general fund figure, which is what I would note. That's why there are two lines, but and also the expenditures fund requires a committee vote, as well as the other special revenues fund. And I can read the justification for all of these initiatives. So this initiative reallocates funding for employment services activities based on changes in work assignments and funding. This reallocation is submitted each biennium to adjust positions between funds and accounts. For example, the Federal Expenditures Fund is divided into several accounts to differentiate between Wagner-Payzer Act services, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and Veterans Services. I don't know if anyone has any questions for the votes that are required on this page. It's, I think, essentially shifting some money around.
You don't hear any questions there.
Okay, I can proceed then if you like.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me get up to date on my copy. Okay, so the Employment Services Activity Initiative, this one transfers one Director of Labor Outreach and Education position and reallocates the cost from 100% employment services activity program, federal expenditures fund to 60% regulation and enforcement program, federal expenditures fund, and 40% safety education and training programs program, other special revenue funds. The justification for this initiative is the director works to ensure appropriate working conditions in communities across Maine, in particular those in which migrant and seasonal farm workers are employed. This work is more closely aligned with the Bureau of Labor Standards and is therefore being transferred from the Bureau of Employment Services.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
for some reason, I've lost my picture on my computer. I mean, I can still hear, but I just got a blue screen in front of me.
I would, well, I'm not going to
Sure if
offer
anybody
advice.
else is having the same problem, but
No, I have my screen is fine.
I'll probably have to log off and log back on then.
And yeah, just refresh perhaps.
I did. I tried that. I don't even have a cursor.
Oh,
There we go. I'm back. Thank you.
there you go. You weren't gone long, sir. Happy to
I
have
missed,
you.
and I missed you.
Go ahead, Steve.
So the next initiative provides funding for federal CARES Act funds to support workers who have lost their jobs. The justification for this initiative is these funds are largely passed through to the state's 3 local workforce development boards to support workers who've lost their jobs as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This grant ends June 30th of 2022.
Thank you, sir.
And if I may add, this is the second of the 2 COVID initiatives that I mentioned earlier.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
So the next page is just the Employment Services Activity Program Summary. There is no initiative for the committee to vote on this page.
Can I ask a quick question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just to flag for Ms. Smith, because I can't remember whether I actually specifically said this, but when we get to the 2 part-time positions for WOTC program that are processing that program, could you point that out to me? Or have we already passed it? I was looking out for it, but.
Yep, this Employment Services Activity Program would be has the WOTC program in it. We do not have positions for the program in the biennial budget.
Aren't there 2 part-time positions to process that program in the budget now?
Oh, yes, the positions that currently work on the Worker Opportunity Tax Credit Program are in this account.
So it would be this section right here?
Yes.
I would like to hold this one. And I know we don't have an initiative on it, but I want to come back and talk about this.
Do you want to hold, I mean, if it's not in the budget, I think you could just propose it.
Just propose it at the end.
Yeah, I don't think you need to hold anything necessarily because I think you'd still have to vote on the other initiatives.
Okay, great, perfect, thank you.
Okay. Remind me to.
I will try to remind myself.
Circle back on that. So as I said, this is just a program summary. There's nothing for the committee to vote on that page. So next up is the Maine Labor Relations Board. This is just the baseline budget with general fund and other special revenue funds. And here's the program summary. There's no initiatives for the committee to vote on. Next up is the racial, indigenous, and Maine tribal populations. So the baseline budget for this is shown up here. There is an initiative that requires a committee vote, and that initiative is to provide funding for professional services needed to further the work of the Permanent Commission on the Status of Racial, Indigenous, and Maine tribal populations. Revenue for this funding will be raised through donations and fundraising efforts. And the justification for this initiative is that Public Law 2019, Chapter 457 established the Permanent Commission on the Status of Racial, Indigenous, and Maine Tribal Populations, which is obtaining grants and donations to further the work of the commission.
I have a question on that one. Why do we need a bill for them to be allowed to take donations?
I'm happy to defer to whomever.
No one else. Does anyone else want to take this, Ms. Smith? Or Ms. Tremblay?
This is really just increasing the allocation or increasing the authority to spend if they get the revenue from these donations and fundraising efforts. So it's just giving them the authority to spend up to that amount if they receive the donations.
And Ms. Tremblay, I believe all the committees like this, we have to authorize their ability to spend. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
So if there are no other questions or concerns, this is the program summary showing the racial, indigenous, and Maine tribal population. The next page deals with regulation and enforcement in the Department of Labor. So the baseline shown here is the baseline budget as well as the federal expenditures fund. There are a couple of initiatives on this page. So the first one transfers one director of labor outreach and education position and reallocates the cost from 100% employment services activity program federal expenditures fund to 60% regulation and enforcement program federal expenditures fund and 40% safety education and training programs program other special revenue funds. The justification for this is that the director works to ensure appropriate working conditions in communities across Maine, in particular those in which migrant and seasonal workers are employed. This work is more closely aligned with the Bureau of Labor Standards and is therefore being transferred from the Bureau of Employment Services.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, because I'm not as used to interpreting it as people who are use it every day are. Does this mean that we had a position that was 100% federally funded, and now we don't have the 100% federal funding, and now the state is picking up part of it? Or am I misreading that?
We are shifting part of the funding for this position to the other special revenue fund. That is correct. The federal funding still does exist. It is covering positions that remain in the Employment Services Activities Program.
Okay, but for this particular position, the funding is decreased then, is that right? Federal
For
funding.
this position, the federal funding has decreased, yes.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no other questions, I can continue.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I've got a quick question. If the good representative from the Fighting Islands wanted to add money for the labor wage inspectors, would this be the place to do it?
I'm sorry, is that a question for the department?
Please.
Whoever would like to take it.
We would not be able to pay for wage and hour enforcement positions with the federal grant.
Thank you.
So the next initiative reallocates the cost of one occupational health safety program supervisor position and one occupational safety specialist position from 100% general fund to 50% general fund and 50% federal expenditures fund within the same program, and reallocates related all other in order to maintain a budget within available resources. And I would just note that the committee again has to vote on that initiative as well as the general fund total.
Thank you.
And the justification is that current federal funding levels will support the additional expenditures with minimal impact on services. So the next part of the page is only the regulation and enforcement program summary. There are no initiatives that require a committee vote. So next up is rehabilitation services in the Department of Labor. So the top part of the page is showing the general fund, the federal expenditures fund, and other special revenue funds. There are a couple of initiatives on this page. The first one provides funding for the proposed reorganization of 2 Office Associate 2 positions to 2 Rehabilitation Counselor 1 positions and reduces all other to fund the reorganization. The justification for this initiative is that these proposed management-initiated reorganizations better align work duties with position classifications due to operational needs and changing work responsibilities related to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. The Division of Vocational Rehabilitation requires positions that have a greater scope of allowable job tasks. These positions will better meet the needs of individuals with disabilities who are seeking employment.
Thank you.
The next initiative provides funding for the proposed reclassification of 1 Office Assistant 2 position to an Office Assistant 2 position, retroactive to August 12th, 2019, and reduces all other to fund the position. The justification for this is that this proposed reclassification will align position duties with position classification due to operational needs and changing work responsibilities related to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. The Division of Vocational Rehabilitation requires positions that have a greater scope of allowable job tasks. This position will better meet the needs of individuals with disabilities who are seeking employment.
Thank you.
The next initiative continues 1 limited period rehabilitation services manager position and 3 limited period rehabilitation counselor 1 positions previously established by Public Law 2017, Chapter 284 through September 18th, 2021, and provides funding for related all other costs. The justification for this initiative is the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation was awarded a new federal grant in state fiscal year 2017 to support innovative activities aimed at improving the employment outcomes of individuals with disabilities. The grant funding is being used to increase partnerships between the Bureau, community organizations, and school systems. The grant funding is being used to expand employer relationships and conduct rigorous evaluations of current and new strategies with the goal of determining best practices for students with disabilities in the transition stage between school and employment. The 5-year grant will end September 30th, 2021.
Thank you.
The next page is the Rehabilitation Services Program Summary. There are no initiatives that require committee action on this page. Next up is Safety Education and Training Programs. You can see the baseline budget here, other special revenue funds. The first initiative in Safety Education and Training Programs is the transfer of 1 Director of Labor Outreach and Education position. So the initiative transfers 1 Director of Labor Outreach and Education position and reallocates the costs from 100% Employment Services Activity Program, Federal Expenditures Fund, to 60% Regulation and Enforcement Program, Federal Expenditures Fund, and 40% Safety Education and Training Programs Program, other special revenue funds. The justification for this initiative is that the director works to ensure appropriate working conditions in communities across Maine, in particular those in which migrant and seasonal farm workers are employed. This work is more closely aligned with the Bureau of Labor Standards and is therefore being transferred from the Bureau of Employment Services.
Thank you, Steve.
So the next initiative reorganizes one consumer assistant specialist position to a labor and safety inspector position. So the justification for this initiative is that this request provides funding for the approved management initiated reorganization of one consumer assistant specialist position to a labor and safety inspector position. This position will be the primary public resource for determining the appropriateness of labor activities and working conditions for minors. There is an increased need to educate the public on allowable industries and work activities that minors can perform.
Thank you.
Excuse me, is this the position that Director Rowland was talking about this morning?
It seems familiar to me, yes. That's
Okay.
what I was thinking while I was reading it, yeah. I can't say with certainty, but that was what fine.
Okay, it looks like it to me. Thank you.
So the next page is just a program summary of safety education and training programs. There are no initiatives that require committee vote on this page. Next up is the State Workforce Investment Board. This whole section is just showing the Federal Expenditures Fund, other special revenue funds, and a program summary. There are no initiatives that require any committee action.
Thank you.
Next up is the workforce research. You can see the baseline budget, the Federal Expenditures Fund, and other special revenue funds on the top of this page. The first initiative reallocates the cost of one Public Service Manager 3 position from 50% general fund and 50% federal expenditures fund to 25% general fund and 75% federal expenditures fund, and reallocates associated state cap costs within the same program. The justification for this initiative is that additional one-time federal funding provides the opportunity to have this position reallocated to federal funds in order to maintain government operations within available resources.
Thank you, Steve.
The next initiative reallocates the cost of one senior economic research analyst position from 80% general fund and 20% federal expenditures fund to 90% general fund and 10% federal expenditures fund within the same program, and provides funding for related state cap costs in the first year of the biennium. The justification for this initiative is that the funding for this position is being adjusted for fiscal year 2021 to 2022. Initiative CA27 adjusts the funding for this position in fiscal year 2022-2023. The increased general fund cost is offset by initiative CA1, which reallocates one Public Service Manager 3 position. And the committee does need to take a vote on the initiative as well as the general fund.
Thank you.
The next initiative transfers one senior economic research analyst position and reallocates the cost from 90% general fund and 10% federal expenditures fund to 100% federal expenditures fund within the same program. The justification is that this position will be funded with one-time federal funds in lieu of general funds in the second year of the biennium in order to maintain operations within available funds. And this initiative requires both the general fund vote as well as a vote on the initiative. So next up is just a program summary of workforce research. There are no further initiatives. And the next page is just Department of Labor totals for all funds. So I don't know if this is a good time to just stop and if anyone has any questions for the department, because this, I think, concludes their portion of the budget.
Steve, would this be the point where we would offer amendments to this point of the budget, or would you rather do that later?
You can do it anytime you like.
All right, I am going to offer two amendments. The first one is for the positions that we heard about this morning. I'm going to close my door and hopefully we won't hear the discussion going on out in the hall. The first one is for those positions that we heard about this morning, or the WOTC. By my count, those two positions, just with one position added, would just barely keep up with the incoming and really never break into the backlog with the two part-time positions that we have now. If we, with some simple math, if it took a half hour for them to process each form, they would add 6,000 to the backlog every year. If they're working 8 hours a day, 52 a week. So I am going to amend adding one FTE to that program in employment services to process the WOTC forms that we heard about this morning.
Could you direct us to the page where that could be found?
I believe it was the page we were on when it's the general, the general, that's why I was looking for it. The general accounting. So there's no place where those positions are specifically pulled out because aren't trying to add any positions to it. So they are included in the totals for employment services, which I can try and find.
Employment Security Services,
That's it. Yep.
0245, page A366.
I'm gonna let somebody else say yes.
May I chime in? The Worker Opportunity Tax Credit Program is in the Employment Services Activity Program, which begins on page 19.
Thank you.
My printout doesn't say page 19.
Yeah, she's working off of the main
budget. It's the 0852 program at the top of the page.
Yeah, which on ours, so 0852.
Yeah,
So be up here.
I think someone's looking at the original budget.
Yep.
So, yep. So we are meeting again on Wednesday. We'll need to get some totals figured for this. I don't know that we'd be ready to vote on it today, but I wanted to offer that first amendment. And then my second amendment would be in labor standards to fund 3 full-time positions as entry-level labor inspectors. And again, they would need to be costed out. I think that one of the reasons that I'm bringing this up now is I thought it was important that we all hear the 2 bills that we heard this morning to hear the urgent need on the WOTC program, but then also to hear some of the testimony that we had also heard last year from Mr. Dugas and Mr. Gore supporting an increase in these positions. And I think that generally we are in a similar position to what we were in unemployment, where we're really just sort of hanging on by our fingernails, hoping nothing goes wrong. And, and we're not necessarily having the extra space to make sure that nothing goes wrong. And so to do the proactive outreach to employers and to employees and to make sure that we are, that those workers who are there have the space to be able to do their work, but also, when you lose somebody in those positions, you start over from scratch and you lose the institutional knowledge. And so I am proposing 3 positions and realizing our budget situation, but thinking it important that the committee speak to the Appropriations Committee that this work is important. We've added positions in other places, such as the Attorney General's office, where we added 18 positions in the last year. We have added no positions in the last 3 budgets to this department, and it seems prudent to me to do so. So that's my amendment and my commentary. And now I can drink the tea that my lovely wife brought me, so I can follow this for a little bit longer.
I would second that amendment.
And as I said, I think we need to cost it out, and probably the vote would be on Wednesday, but I just wanted to put it on the record. And any comment that anybody has, obviously. But I'll leave that.
Okay.
I think we're good to move forward then, Steve. We can't take any more steps with that right now.
And if I or Rachel need any more information about the initiative, do we have permission to work with the department if we need to on?
You have
on
permission
getting-
to work with anybody that you need to in order to get this information done.
Perfect. Just double checking. I thought that you'd say that. But, so the next section is the main public employees retirement. The baseline budget is here on the top of the page. There are a couple of initiatives. So the first initiative provides funding for benefits for retired governors and surviving spouses. And the justification is the law, Maine Revised Statutes, Title II, Section 1A. Hearing, okay, yep. So the next initiative provides funding for benefits for pre-1984 judges and surviving spouses. The justification is the Maine Revised Statutes, Title IV, Section 1403.
Thank you.
The program summary for the Maine retirement system is on the next page, and there's no other initiative required at this time by the committee. There's the general fund, and this is the department total. So next up is Office of the Treasurer of State. The Kim Wallace Adaptive Equipment Loan Program Fund. You can see the baseline budget and the other special revenue funds. There is an initiative that requires action by the committee. This initiative provides funding for the Kim Wallace Adaptive Equipment Loan Program to provide loans to qualified borrowers in order to acquire adaptive equipment. The justification for this initiative, rather, is this initiative adjusts the allocation for the Kim Wallace Adaptive Equipment Loan Program based on the projected loans to qualified borrowers for fiscal years 2022 and 2023.
Thank you.
Okay. And the bottom half of the page, the bottom third of the page has the program summary. There's no further action required, and the department total is on the next page, and there's also no action required from the committee on that page. So next up is New Ventures Maine within the University of Maine System Board of Trustees. The baseline budget is on the top, and the program summary is on the bottom. And on the next page, there are department totals. So there are actually no initiatives for the committee to vote on, but I know that if you had any questions about it, generally there was going to be somebody here to answer those, but there's nothing that requires any action from the committee.
Do we know if somebody's here from the university?
Yes. I just admitted her into thing. Oh, Gilda Nardone. Okay, she should be here now.
I guess if, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes, sir.
I'm not familiar with the New Ventures program.
I should say, I sent you the testimony from the day of the joint public hearing with appropriations. So there was a lot of testimony. There was actually a couple of pieces of testimony from the public in relation to this program as well. And I sent it all as one packet, so you might not have kind of got it. I think it was toward the end because I did it in the order of how people testified. But there is also somebody here, so if you kind of want to just learn about the program, I guess now would be the opportunity to do that.
Well, let's take advantage of them while they're here, if we may, Mr. Chair.
We can do that.
And her name is Gilda, so if you just want to call on her.
Yes, Gilder, Ms. Nardone or Nardoni?
Nardone, yes. What would be helpful for you to learn at this point, Representative?
I'm assuming that's got to do with the retirement program?
No, we are actually a statewide outreach and education program under the University of Maine at Augusta. And we work with adults in work-life transition to help them plan careers, return to college or start college if they never did that after high school. We help people start small businesses, and we work with individuals and families around managing their finances and building assets to support their financial security in the future. We have several match savings programs. So we work with individuals and families to build resources such as owning a car or repairing a car, or purchasing a home, repairing a home, and also starting or growing their business.
Very nice, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions that I can answer?
Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, Representative Bradstreet here. The figures are both the same for the budgeted 2 years, but they're quite a bit more than the current budget, about $220,000 more. Is there a reason for that? Yet there are no new initiatives. Is just an expansion of the program, or do you have more money coming in that you have to run through the state budget, or could you give me some reason for that?
Sure. Actually, the additional funding came in last year's biannual budget. There was no increase in FY20, but the increase came in FY21. So this is actually level funding from FY21 for 22 and 23. And the reason at that time is we had some federal funding that was ending, and it provided for some increased staff support for statewide services.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And good luck with that program. It sounds excellent.
Thank you. And we're happy to help any of your constituents who might need assistance in sort of navigating the pandemic and, returning to work or keeping their business going during this time. So please reach out to us if we can be of assistance.
We appreciate that offer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Could you help me in Augusta?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.
We're based, our statewide office is based at UMA in Augusta.
I actually do have a young man that lives in Augusta that needs your help, so.
Well, please reach out and we would be happy to work with him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All set, Steve?
Yep. So the next up is the Workers' Compensation Board. As you can see, the baseline budget and the other special revenue funds are on the top of the page. There is one initiative The initiative provides funding for increased rent costs and associated state cap charges. The justification for the initiative is that rent costs have increased due to changes in contractual agreements for these services. The estimated increase in insurance assessment revenue provides the resources to cover the increased costs.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, Representative Bradstreet, I do have a question. As I recall in the supplemental budget, we found that some of the rents were costing us less than what we anticipated. Does anybody know if these are different locales where these rents are being adjusted?
I think that John Rhodey is on, if you want to throw that question to him.
Okay, perhaps you could answer that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So our leases, we have 5 regional offices and a central office. They're 10 to 15 years in term. So we're in the middle of most of those contracts, and this is just an increase over what the baseline was in the past biennial budget. If that answers your question.
Yep, I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So at the bottom of the page is just the program summary for the administration workers' compensation board. The next pages are just employment rehabilitation program baseline budgets, employment rehabilitation program summaries. So there's no committee action required on those pages. And then there's the workers' comp, and perhaps some of the pages got mixed up. I'm not sure what's going on. The baseline budget for workers' compensation and other special revenue funds, as well as a program summary for workers' compensation board. And the total department total across the board. And there's no action required by the committee on this page. The next initiatives are reclassifications within the Department of Labor. So the first one is just reclassifications. And the second one is also the same. I think the department, if you have any specific questions, the department will be able to answer those, but they do require committee action.
Not hearing any questions there, Steve.
Okay. The next piece is the language in the retirement. So there were a couple of initiatives that were in this proposal that have to be sort of edited in statute, like put into statute. So there are 2 language parts that the committee has to vote on, part KKK and part LLL. So part KKK clarifies the job classifications in the Department of Public Safety that are eligible to elect to participate in the 1998 special plan of Maine PERS. Under that plan, a person can retire at 55 years of age with 10 years of creditable service, or may retire before 55 years of age with 25 years of creditable service. And part LL clarifies the job classifications in the Department of Public Safety that are eligible to elect to participate in the 1998 special plan of Maine PERS. And it adds Assistant State Fire Marshal to the list of eligible classifications. So under this plan, a person can retire at 55 years of age with 10 years of creditable service, or can retire before 55 years of age with 25 years of creditable service. And you do have testimony in your packets from Commissioner Soschuk, and he did propose an amendment to part LLL. There are specific titles that they're concerned might not be included, so it might inadvertently prevent that person from being eligible to join the 1998 special plan. So the office actually recommends that it'd be amended to read Assistant State Fire Marshal in charge of inspections and Assistant State Fire Marshal in charge of investigations in Part LLL for clarity's sake. So my understanding from these is that at least in Part KKK, for sure, the language piece was inadvertently left out in last session or in last budget. So this really just kind of corrects that. We do have some people from the Office of the State Fire Marshal that if you have specific questions, they should be able to answer them. One of them, hold on, let me pull up my list, is Joe Thomas. He's on and he should be able to answer any questions that you have surrounding the proposed language amendment. But these two language pieces do require a vote by the committee, even though there's no line on the actual document.
I don't see any.
Chair, I have a question.
Representative Bradstreet has a question.
Yes, thank you. I guess I'm a little puzzled. I need some clarification. Are these positions that are being reclassified into a different retirement system through the budget as opposed to going through a bill and a labor committee review?
According to Commissioner Sostrzuk's testimony, for Part KKK, when eligible positions were previously added to the plan, the emergency dispatch system administrators were mistakenly omitted. So the language in Part KKK clarifies and adds these positions to the plan. Part LLL also adds Assistant State Fire Marshal in charge of inspections and Assistant State Fire Marshal in charge of investigations. And you jogged my memory. I think that I heard, and I apologize that I don't have it in front of me, but I think that Maureen might have said that the funding for these is actually, because it's under Department of Public Safety, maybe. I think it was actually in a different part of the budget that this committee didn't hear. But I would have to double check on that, and I apologize for not having that answer at this time, but I will check with Maureen for Wednesday on what, if any, funding is required. But I thought that she had said perhaps it was in a different section of Part A, maybe in the Department of Public Safety, I don't know. But if anyone has any further clarification, I'm happy to defer.
Yeah, a couple of comments. I think we've heard the justification for some of our bills because people were unintentionally omitted from particular plans. And they usually remedy that by going through legislation. And secondly, at our joint meeting with the Appropriations Committee, I think it was Representative Millett brought up the fact that according to our Constitution, anything with an unfunded actuarial liability has to be paid for up front. So I'm hoping somebody has some answers to those questions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I see Ms. Tremblay raising her hand behind me, but I think that it has to do with the fact that this used to be in our budget. It was moved over into the jurisdiction of the Criminal Justice Committee, and I think will be in their budget rather than our budget. And I remember the few brain cells still working at this point of the day that they might have been doing it out of existing resources. But I will pass on to Ms. Tremblay to give us what information she has.
Thank you. Yes, so funding for adding these classifications into the special plan is in Part A under the Department of Public Safety, under the Office of the Fire Marshal's budget. So another committee is hearing that piece. You have this because it's retirement language. And these were bills, I think, that were passed last session that was funded and enacted. So these are just adding a couple more positions or job classifications to being eligible for this plan.
I'm looking at Commissioner Sawchuk's testimony that he gave us, and he did kind of spell out in that LLL that is a new position. So again, I mean, my thought is that he recognizes, like we do, there's a lot of people that are coming back in later years trying to get, into the system. So he's saying this is in my mind, he's saying this is a new position that he wants to be sure is included from the start.
And I will also add that we, hearing Representative Millett's comments during the public hearing, have been working with the retirement system and with the department to make sure that the funding that they're providing in Part A is sufficient to cover both the unfunded liability and the normal costs. So that's being discussed, and we believe it is, but we're getting additional clarification.
Excuse me, this is Joe Thomas, State Fire Marshal. Could I offer some information that might be helpful?
Yes, sir.
Just for the sake of clarity, the Assistant Fire Marshal's position for the Investigations Division was the position that was originally eliminated by the previous administration. And when it was brought back on, prior to the position actually be finalizing, the language changed in Part B for 17-851 that the fire investigators were under the 20-year retirement as a result of their exposure to the carcinogens in fire scenes. When that language was written for senior fire investigators and fire investigator sergeants, the assistant fire marshal's position for the investigations division was not included at that time. However, it is funded under our budget for that position. We just need the language in the statute itself to recognize that position.
Thank you for that clarification.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I have another question under actually Part KKK. Do we know how many positions that includes?
Let me see if I see that in his testimony or not. Doesn't.
Can
you have an answer? Someone, I'm looking.
I
but
guess
don't-
I'm just trying to find Commissioner Sawchuk's testimony. I guess I've just gotten lost in the flurry of documents here, so I don't see that document.
It was the fifth. I have it as the fifth testimony document. So like main housing was the first. Commissioner Fortman was the second.
Oh, you're saying going back to the original testimony day?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote down something like 126 positions, and I'm not sure if that was a verbal response to a question or not. And I also don't know if that's new total positions, including those already in that special retirement program or not. It may be just 2 or 3, it may be 126. I don't really know. I just think it's like some clarification, that's all.
And I guess from my standpoint, I just wanted to make the comment that I continue to be concerned that all of these different issues from different groups that have been put in and out of different special plans and different retirement plans seem to be being handled differently. And I guess it's just making me very uncomfortable that we don't have a consistent way for treating these folks, and their success or not success at getting redress for their grievances may depend on where they're situations getting heard. So I don't know if I'm misreading something, but I just, it's very concerning to me.
Concur.
As do I, Representative Gear. It does get confusing. Ms. Tremblay may be able to help us out here. Thank you. I see a hand up.
Thank you. Just in terms of the number of emergency communication specialists, when we did the fiscal note a year ago, we costed out 42 emergency communication specialist positions. That's what the fiscal note was based on at that time.
And just to, so I can make sure I got my language right, these were the dispatchers? Is that correct?
I think she's
I
looking.
believe these are code enforcement folks who were moved. So they're the ones doing building inspections and et cetera, fire inspections for new building and stuff. I believe that's the group we're talking about.
Okay.
We used to oversee them in the 129th when they broke up labor and housing and IDEA. These folks didn't have a home for a long time. And then it was decided that since they were under Commissioner Soschek and almost everything else Commissioner Soschek did was in criminal justice, it was moved over to there so that they could see the whole budget at once. But like many things that end up with a remnant somewhere, he still has a requirement to report to us because of housing portion of our duties, that he's doing these things, even though we don't really vote on whether or not he gets to do them. I hope that makes sense.
Again, it just reinforces for me that different people are getting treated differently depending on where they might sit in this organizational structure of committee work and budgets and number of people affected, because clearly it's easier to fund 3, 4, 6, 42 people than it is to fund several hundred when you're required up front to pay the complete unfunded, fund the entire liability moving forward. So I just need to register my concern because it just really raises a big concern, because we've had a lot of difficult discussions in our committee about the fiscal notes that would be attached to these things.
And I would concur with that, I would just remind everybody before we move on, right? We had the bill last year where there was $50,000 in one department to make a whole department whole. And then, a couple $100,000 was used in another department, came out of existing resources, right? So one group we said no to, or the appropriations table said no to, and one group was just taken care of within the department resources. So it's one of those vagaries, and hopefully we'll try to get some notion of it for the folks coming after us, and when we get that report.
Yeah, unfortunately, Representative Sylvester, it's more than a vagary if you're one of the member of one of the larger groups that is not getting their situation addressed. So
absolutely, and my vocabulary is getting sloppy late in the day.
I'm sorry. You've been just promoted or demoted to a representative there, Ms. Tremblay. You have your hand up.
Just to clarify, these were emergency dispatchers.
These were the dispatchers. Okay, we did talk about them in some context. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I stand corrected. Now you have a bunch of useless information on another department.
I was trying to figure out how code enforcers were emergency workers with that last conversation, Representative Sylvester, but I got it now.
So are there more questions relative to this last page concerning the KKK language changes along with the part LLL language changes that we need clarified? Okay, so.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I just ask Representative Gear, would you like us to add a portion of this to note your concern?
Yeah, I guess since I don't see a requirement that we vote on those particular areas, I guess I would want to register this concern for sure. Not sure how to do that on this particular issue.
So if I can jump in, so actually these do require a vote, and these are just like any other bills that come before the committee, and that you can amend the language, which was recommended from doing so on part LLL. But also in the report back to AFA, you could note either as an individual or as a group that you kind of, I don't know, have concerns about the retirement system, or I can draft anything that you want in the report back to AFA. It's going to be a physical memorandum. So anything that you want, I can draft. Anything that you think that they need to know, or anything that you wish them to know, feel free to reach out to me, and I can get that going for you. But these do require a vote by the committee.
Okay, for my part, I would like to work with you, Steve, on some sort of statement of concern in this area.
So not voting today on those particular language issues is the recommendation from you, Representative Gear. Is that correct?
Correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Steve, can we try to figure out whatever part of the budget this was in then, what the vote was?
Yep, I will. I'll talk with some folks and I'll get back to you on Wednesday. Well, sooner but I mean, we're meeting on Wednesday is what I meant.
Okay, so, boy.
Yeah.
Working backwards, yeah.
There is, so that was the last piece in the formal document. If I don't know if the committee's ready to move on, or if you still want to discuss this, but that was the last formal piece. I don't know if you saw in the email, I referenced a report. I think I sent it to you guys actually, that comes every year from MainPERS, that actually gives this committee the authority to allocate money so eligible veterans can buy back service credit. I sent you the report. So the way it works is, at least my understanding is that typically what's happened is sometimes the committee will decide to appropriate some funds for the folks that are eligible. So the report specifies that, actually, let me pull up the report. That's probably easier, isn't it? That way we're all on the same page. Sorry about that. If you just give me a second. Where did it go?
I have a hard copy, Steve. I just don't remember where I got it. I know it came from you. But...
Yeah, so this was sent over on February 1st. It was just an annual report, but the statute actually authorizes this committee to allocate some money. And the way it works is those eligible folks that are actually on this page, the committee can decide to allocate some or all of the portion for the subsidy cost. So that way, the folks who are listed in the middle column who have made the requests can actually receive military service credit for their retirement. So a little bit of background on what this is so actually the last time this was done was in 2015. I believe it was the biennial budget. And at that time, I think the Appropriations Committee actually had jurisdiction over retirement matters, which, as you know now, sort of made sense in that mostly there was a huge fiscal cost involved. So at the time, I think that the Appropriations Committee decided as a committee to allocate a portion of the subsidy costs so that specific members could buy back some military service credit. It has not been done since then. There is no requirement that this committee do so. It's largely depending on how or if the committee wants to issue any funding or recommend any funding, I should say. It's happened in some or all of the costs. So for example, as you can see highlighted, in 2016, there was one request, but in 2018, there were three. So the committee could decide something like allocating money for one person in 2016 and two people in 2018. So it's not all or nothing necessarily, but I only throw this out there for the committee's consideration because it's part of my job, but also I only became aware of it recently and I wasn't sure of the history that this committee has in terms of its awareness, because as I mentioned, the Appropriations Committee at one point had jurisdiction over retirement matters. But typically this has always been done either as part of the supplemental budget or the biennial budget. So I bring this up so that if any of you feel that this is something that you want to do or explore, now would be the time to recommend this in the report back to the Appropriations Committee.
So, Steve, as I'm looking at
Mhm.
the last page, it's a 3-page report. Oh, I'm sorry, no, it's a 4-page report, I think. I'm looking at page 3 and it talks about what's happened in the past, but underneath it is a footnote that says some members of whom funds were appropriated did not complete the purchase or were found eligible to complete the purchase without the subsidy. So is this subsidy that we would potentially fund remove any out-of-pocket expense for the actual veteran? Or
Yes.
is this going to be a shared buyback?
Well, it would be sort of a shared, is my understanding. And I don't want to get too deep in the weeds because I'm not that familiar with this program. But
okay.
My understanding, though, is that if the committee appropriates a certain amount of money, then the other person comes up with a portion of theirs. And then that allows them to sort of buy back those credit years for their retirement purposes. But you're right that the footnote does note that sometimes the people that are eligible don't purchase it, and sometimes they do eventually purchase it without the subsidy. I thought that I had invited Kathy Morin actually to the meeting, but I don't see her on the list. But for Wednesday, I can certainly have her here, because not only would she be a great resource for this, but she would also be able to help, I think, with the language pieces on parts KKK and LLL. So like I said, no, there's nothing required from the committee, but I wanted to let you know that the statute does give you the authority as the committee with jurisdiction over retirement matters to appropriate any amount that you feel you would like.
Okay, but just again, just to confirm, the current ask, if we approved the total amount, we're looking at about 328,000 plus, right? Almost.
I think, yeah, I think about 298, because I think that they already have some in the beginning account balance. But yeah, I don't know the extent to anything like the committee ever recommending full funding, but I think perhaps it's one of those things that as the years go by, the number of requests start to pile up, which I think we can kind of almost see, one year, 3, and then 2. So I think that, like I said, I think last time it was done in 2015, it wasn't a full funding, it was only a partial. So the committee has complete discretion at how much or if it wants to fund any. And it's only a recommendation anyway, of course, as AFA has the final say in budgetary matters. But
so if she was available, that would be a big help to us in both those areas, I guess. The language in part KKK and part LLL, as well as the veterans. So thank you.
Um,
So can we go back and look at all the ones we were able to potentially agree or approve, and set aside the ones that need some attention so that we're only working with those on Wednesday.
Mhm. Would you like me to read out what I have as being?
Certainly.
Okay. So do you want me to read it by reference number? Because I think that's how you were recording them, right?
That's how I did it. And they weren't, as you said, they weren't in numerical order, but that's just how they kind of flowed through that document.
Yep.
So, thanks.
Okay. And if I'm incorrect or wrong, then please feel free to jump in. So I have as being okay to vote as a block. The first one on page 1074, the home modification certification program. Then the next one that I have is on page 9. That's 1877 is the reference number, and as well as 1878, which is the next initiative right underneath it. And then on page 11, I have reference number 1899.
Yep.
And then I have on page 12, reference number 1900. And
Yep.
then I have reference number 1901, also on page 12. I have on page 14, reference number 1930.
Yep.
I have on page 15, reference number 1931. And I have reference 1932, also on page 15.
Right.
And I have on page 16, reference number 1934.
Correct.
And 1935, also on page 16.
Yep.
And I have on page 17, reference number 1913. I'm sorry, 1938.
Correct.
And on page 19, I have reference number 1957.
Yeah.
As well as 1958, 1962, 1964, all on page 20.
Yeah.
I also have on page 20, reference number 1965. And I have on page 21, reference number 1967.
Great. That matches.
On page 24, I have reference number 1984. On page 25, I have reference number 1910, as well as reference number 1911.
Yeah.
On page 26, I have reference number 1912. On page 27, I have reference number 1945. On page 28, I have reference number 1946. On page 28, I have reference number 1947. Jumping to page 30, I have reference number 1918. And
Yep.
also on page 30, I have 1919.
Right.
Jumping to page 33, I have reference number 1976, as well as 1977.
Right.
And page 34, I have reference number 1978, as well as 1979. And 1980 and 1981 at the bottom of page 34.
Right.
And on page 37, I have reference number 2412, as well as 2413.
Yep.
On page 40, I have reference number 2492.
Yep.
On page 44, I have reference number 2526.
What did we decide on page 42?
42.
Was that?
42 didn't require any action. That was the new ventures main.
Yeah, all right, thank you. So we're good, so then we're at page 44, reference 2526. That was good.
And then we jump to page 48, which is reference 1906 and 1920.
Okay.
And that was all that I had that the committee agreed to as a block.
We'd like to have a short caucus, maybe 10 minutes.
Yes, because those were the ones that we were going to looking to vote on now, and then anything that was not mentioned or left out or addressed would be something that we'll take a revisit on Wednesday as well. So you're looking at short as in 10 minutes?
10
Senator?
minutes. Yes, please. 10 minutes.
Thank you. Alyssa, can you give our seats 10? Thank you.
So the breakout rooms are still open. So if you remember from last time, you have to go down and click on like the little grid.
Oh yeah, we got to.
Otherwise, I can close them, but it'll take a minute for it to close, and then I can send the pop-up.
No, that's okay. I just remember I was one of the people that had a hard time doing that.
Yeah, I don't have a little
remove
grid.
Co-host, and that might help.
It's
Do you
down
mean the ... more?
No, so right in that same bar though, you should see what looks like a little grid of like 4 squares, and it says breakout rooms.
Don't have that.
at the bottom of your page.
It should be right next to my reactions and record buttons, but it's not there.
Okay.
Oh.
No, I don't have it either.
Oh, I think it's because you guys had exited. Do you guys see it now?
There we go.
Yep.
I got one that says join.
Perfect.
I don't see it either. Oh, there it is. Gotcha. Thanks, Alyssa.
Yeah, no problem. I took your co-host away, so hopefully you should be able to see it as well.
I got it now. Yeah, thank you very much.
We are back. Are the Democrats back?
Not yet.
Alyssa, it appears to me that what the intention is now is to just deal with these quasi acceptable ones, and then any of the ones that are more debatable, we're going to do Wednesday. Is that the plan?
That is what I've gathered. I assume Senator Rafferty will maybe clarify on that.
Yes,
but I think you're in the right direction.
So have you looked up that Harry and David ad yet, or seen
No, I couldn't remember the name of it. I even checked, but we hadn't started the live stream yet. Harry and David, is that what you said?
There she is, Harry and David ad.
Okay, I'm gonna make a.
Yeah. You'll recognize yourself, I'm sure. You're doing a good job with all the changes. I'm sure it made your job a lot harder. Thank you. Good
Thank you
work.
very much. I appreciate that.
Doing a great job. Yeah.
Thank
is
you. It's
Stephen
been a
around?
learning curve. I miss getting to see everybody. It's not quite as exciting as past sessions.
Come over to 201.
Right?
You're kind of boring after about 2 minutes.
Do we
It's
have
not
a
much more
print?
exciting in here.
Do we have a printer assigned to us if we wanted to come down for the day? We needed to print documents. Is there any way we can print documents down in this
I
cross
believe you're
building?
supposed to go to your legislative aides because they've got the big copiers and they should be able to do that for you.
Because the problem I ran into was, we had testimony that was very relevant that didn't come in till minutes before the hearing, and we didn't have a printer. I like hard copies. Maybe some of you don't need them, but I like to have a paper copy.
Yeah, it could be nice. You can annotate it, mark it up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
old-
I can
I'm
write
old
notes
school.
on mine. Steve, are we going to just look to vote one vote on everything? Or are we going to go down an individual?
No, that's why I ran through my list and I cross-checked Senator Rafferty. So the things that are agreed upon, we're going to vote as a block, and then the disagreements, there might be roll calls, but it'll be a lot less than.
Well, those won't be till Wednesday, right? So
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yeah.
So
we have to clarify some things. Yeah.
a couple of us were working off the original budget, so we don't necessarily have the reference number easily at our fingertips.
Yeah, I sent it in an email. It's like 48 pages.
So what we, Steve, is would it be possible for you to make up a document of just the ones that have relative agreement so we can go over those and then vote on Wednesday?
Yeah, I can do that for you.
Okay, that would be.
Sure, absolutely.
I just feel more comfortable. Appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, not a problem.
Just so hard.
We got good people working with this committee. I like that.
Steve, you talked about the 48-page document. Did you send that today?
Yep.
All right, because I haven't opened up those emails yet.
Yeah, that's okay. I sent it between the work session on LD 29 and this one because I figured it would be sort of at the top of the inbox, but.
Yeah, I didn't print it out, so.
That's okay.
But I will.
Yeah, I didn't print mine out because I got mine I have is all scribbled on the original, so I can't even read my writing on some of it. But
And Dick's in the cross building, so you can't print.
I print it at home, whatever I can. I always wait till the last minute before I leave and then try to print it, so I'll have something here. And then I do follow it on my split screen here, but I can't scribble on it. And sometimes I take notes and it doesn't translate to what I see on the screen the same as easily. That's all.
So if we're having you send the documents and then look at it Wednesday, we're basically done for today because we're not voting on the divided ones, right?
That's my understanding, but I think that's what we've kind of deduced, but we haven't officially been told that. So
yeah, okay.
Let's check. I need to talk to the analyst in tax, so I keep looking at that clock because I don't want her to get out of work because I have a bill in tax tomorrow morning, so that I need to talk with her about. So Dick, I think what I'm going to do is drop off, and if anything happens that we are going to do some votes today, can you text me? Because I'm going to drop off and go talk to her in tax.
Okay, I put it, as far as we would like to see is just to defer everything until Wednesday, till we have a chance to look at it. And if we're all in agreement, it'll only take, what, 5 minutes to do that Wednesday?
Yeah.
Does that sound right, Steve?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Senator Rafferty's planning on voting them as a block today, or if we just kind of block them out for a vote on Wednesday. So I don't know if the point is to do the block today or just wait until Wednesday to do everything.
I'm just concerned I might have missed something, that's all.
He's pretty critical, so I think if we ask to wait and vote Wednesday, he'll probably give us a chance to go through the yes ones again.
We'll give it a shot, but we don't run the committee.
Right? So let me know, Dick, if it's going to be us voting. And Alyssa, I won't need to talk to you at 4:30 if all goes well there. So I'm going to go talk to her about my bill and tax. And if you need me, Dick, text me.
Okay, that's not the bill we talked about earlier, is it? Not the one. You said getting language today. You're okay. All right.
Yes, and the language should come in right, so she was writing it. So I've got to talk to her about it.
Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Just trying to get a head count. It looks like we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 of us.
Senator Guerin will be away for at least a little while. She might not be able to make it back, but we'll see.
Okay, thank you. So, little confused myself right now, Steve, in terms of maybe it's a fatigue factor, but so we want to take them in that, we know we have a block that we had no question on.
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
there is still some confusion on, at least on my part. I was following along in a different format. I was wondering if it would be possible for Steve to send those to us, those that are in the block that are acceptable, and then those that are not acceptable in a separate block, and we can look at those quickly Wednesday, and those we agree on, we can just vote quickly to approve them and then discuss the others. Would that be possible?
I'll have to actually ask Steve as to that. So basically what you're trying to do, what we would essentially looking to end today's meeting and then carry over everything to Wednesday and have those separated out in the meantime for you to take a look at, or each of us to take a look at, correct?
Yes, that's what I'd like to see. I mean, I understand if the committee doesn't want to do that, but it shouldn't, for those we agree on, it should only take, what, 5 minutes come Wednesday?
Yeah. I have a hand up from Representative Warren in the meantime.
I just want to, I guess, agree with Representative Bradstreet on that. I also have an amendment to make. I don't know if now's the appropriate time, but if we were discussing closing things out.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can I make that now?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to propose an amendment to fund the Permanent Commission on the Status of Racial, Tribal, and Maine. Oh gosh, Commission on the Status of Racial, Indigenous, and Maine Tribal populations. And for I have numbers for Steve. If okay, great. So for fiscal year 2022, it would be at $495,035, and for fiscal year 23, if ready, $498,588. And I'm proposing this to, I guess, get the language and then to have us consider and vote on Wednesday if possible.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Gear. Okay, so Steve.
Yeah, so just to clarify, this replaces the initiative on page 24 that would, oh no, wait, actually, never mind. I'll have to, never mind, sorry about that. I'm thinking out loud here. Because the initiative only allowed them to spend, I think, up to $50,000, right?
I think raise something again.
Through fundraising and donations. I'll talk with Rachel. We'll get it figured out. Try to bring up confusion for no reason.
As long as you understand the intent, and that way you can figure out where it's going to go.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess in my intention in proposing it, my understanding would be just to say it, because I'm just new here, that it would come from the general fund, and whether or not that they're looking to additionally have other special revenue funds, whether the Permanent Commission wants to do that or not, of course, would be up to Representative Talbot Ross. Or, yeah, but that was my understanding and intention.
Thank you. And I did see a hand up. It went down.
Yeah, that was me, Senator. I was gonna Representative Warren said that she meant in addition to the commission's ability to spend funds they raise. I was going to clarify that, but she already said it. So now I've said it anyway. So anyway, there we go.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else that folks would like to add in? So what I'm going to do then is close our today's work session, and then we will continue on Wednesday. What's the time frame on that, Steve, if you could confirm it for us?
We
I'm
have,
blank.
yeah, we have 6 work sessions scheduled for the morning, so it's looking like it'll be the afternoon. Probably we'll schedule it for 1 o'clock would be my guess, but.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think I better give this an official gavel. This afternoon's work session is closed, and I will see you all on Wednesday. If anything comes up in the meantime, if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, okay?
Very good. I appreciate that, Senator.
Well, thank you, and thank you all for your continued work and efforts. Appreciate it.
Thanks all. Have a good evening.